All right. Thank you, everyone. Let's get everything nice and situated. Welcome. If you're just joining us, welcome to the show Money Talks, where all we talk is money. I'm your host today. My name is Jeff Badu. I'm a parallel entrepreneur and a wealth multiplier. I'm the founder and CEO of Badu Enterprises LLC, which is a multinational conglomerate in the finance industry. And what we do is we provide a suite of financial services, including our marquee company, which is Badu Tax Services. And that's the firm that provides tax preparation, tax planning, and tax representation for individuals and businesses across all 50 states in the U.S. And we also have clients in over 25 countries at the moment. Then we have Badu Investments LLC, which is our real estate investment company. And what we do there is we acquire apartment buildings, rental properties, mainly on the south side of Chicago, in efforts to restore traditionally underserved communities. We have Badu Life and Health Solutions LLC, which is our life insurance company that provides life insurance products and solutions to individuals, families, and small businesses. We also do provide health insurance now too. Then we have the Badu Foundation. Badu Foundation on Instagram today. While we're doing this radio show, we are doing a live fundraiser. Just something new I figured we would do. We do have our program coming up this April. So Badu Foundation teaches financial literacy to the kids ages 6 to 18, where we teach them on topics such as budgeting, saving, investing, and scholarships. This summer, we will be having 100 students participate in the program, in the financial literacy program. They'll be in a program for just 4 weeks, right? 4 weeks in June. So every Saturday in June. And they get a chance to learn about money, basically, right? So with that, our goal is to give each student at least a $500 scholarship. And they can repeat the program each year up until the age of 18. So we're doing a live fundraiser today on Instagram and in Facebook. We did share the link to donate. It's right on my profile. All donations are always welcome and tax deductible, of course. Badu Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization registered in the state of Illinois, but you can, of course, donate from any state. My purpose in life is to inspire and support the super hungry to take hold of infinite resources in order to create an abundant lifestyle. Welcome everyone to the show Money Talks, where all we talk is money. We are streaming live today from the office, from the Badu Tax Services office. Yes, this is a home office you see behind me. We are not on WGHC radio station today, right? We're streaming live from home. We're doing sort of a work from home type of theme. I personally have been working from home for the past 6 years now and have enjoyed it ever since. And we decided to do the radio show streaming from home now. All right, so we're live on Facebook. We're live on Instagram. If you don't mind, just type in the chat where you're listening from and maybe tag a friend or two so that they can listen with you, right? If you don't mind, like this video, share the video. Let us know where you're listening from and then tag a friend or two so that they can listen with you and get this information. This is the show Money Talks, where all we talk is money. Shout out to Joel from St. Louis. Shout out to St. Louis. All right. And then we got, Sika Instagram from Chicago. Shout out to Chicago. Chi City, my city. So definitely appreciate everybody for joining. So today we're talking about, should you buy or rent your home? There's a lot of craziness going on in the world. All right, a lot of craziness going on in the world. We have COVID-19 as a pandemic. Some people have seemed to forget about the pandemic that we're still in to this day and age. Let's see. We have the war between Russia and Ukraine, basically between Russia and the rest of the world, right? All this stuff. We have inflation. Inflation is extremely high right now. We have all this stuff going on. So it is a fair question to bring up. Should you buy or should you rent your home right now? All right, let's see. We got Miss Queen, BMI, we got from Chicago. We got, Charles Daniel from Bronx. Shout out to the Bronx, New York. And then we have, ATIMOD 3. All right. From Chicago. Shout out to Chicago. And yeah, welcome everybody. So we're going to talk about, should you buy or rent your home? And before we get into that topic, let's talk about what happened in the markets last week. So as of February 25th, 2022, and yes, boy, it's been a ride last week. Quite the ride last week. So stocks closed mostly higher last week, despite a tumultuous week with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. For those who have been living under a rock for the past week or so, Russia has attacked or striked Ukraine, right? Russia has strike against Ukraine, and basically to invade it, to actually real life take it over. This is real. This is happening. There's explosions, there's bombs, there's missiles, there's stuff going on. There's a lot of people, I believe over 400 people killed now, some of which are children. So definitely prayers out to the Ukraine. It's very, very sad to hear, very, very sad to watch. I don't know the deeper of it, but all I know is Russia has invaded Ukraine. Somebody has pissed off Mr. Vladimir Putin. I don't know who did, right? But he's on attack mode, let's just say. So nonetheless, of the benchmark indexes listed here, only the Dow and the global Dow closed the week in the red. The Russell 2000, the NASDAQ, and the S&P 500 each posted solid gains. So the stock market actually went up last week, believe it or not. While the world reacted to the conflict in Eastern Europe, traders sought domestic stocks, driving values higher. All right. Apparently, some investors may be viewing the Russia-Ukraine conflict as a reason to believe the Federal Reserve, right? Investors always have their stupid, silly reasons. That some investors may be viewing the Russia-Ukraine, an actual war, a conflict, as a reason to believe the Federal Reserve may not be quite so quick to jack up interest rates. So there you have it. Why is the stock market actually going up, or why did it go up last week? Because the fact that we have a war, people were thinking, oh, the Federal Reserve might not increase interest rates as much. All right. The Federal Reserve is thinking that we may not, or the investors, people who invested into the market, are thinking the Fed might not increase interest rates as much as they thought they were. So that increased the markets. To me, that has no sense of logic whatsoever, but I could understand where they're coming from, right? One thing about the stock market, it's not the most logical place in the world. All I would say is put your money in it. It will go up over time. Trust me. Get rid of the noise. Get rid of all the craziness going on. Throw your money into something like an index fund, S&P 500 index. I guarantee you, if you were to turn off your notifications on that investment and let it ride for 10 years, that money will probably triple. No matter what wars happen, no matter what, diseases happen, it don't matter, right? Trump gets reelected as president. It don't matter. The stock market will go up 10 years from now. It will happen, right? Whatever stock prices are today, they will triple 10 years from now. It just will happen. That's just how money works. Because of inflation, because of growth, right? Corporate earnings. These companies have such high pressure on them. I mean, you know the CEO of Amazon, how much pressure he has to have the company go up? It's crazy. So with that being said, I would say when you're invested into the market, don't focus too much on this noise that's going on. When we say noise, we're talking about war, COVID-19, inflation, interest rates, right? That's all noise. So don't be like the investor who says, oh, somebody's about to fight a war. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start buying like crazy because we think interest rates won't go up as high as we thought they were, right? Don't be that guy. Be the guy that says, you know what, not forget the war, right? Always be conscious of what's going on. But forget the war as far as where my money is being invested into the stock market. If I'm invested in an index that invests in all the big companies, right? So just use logic when it comes to that. So, however, with prices continue to rise even before the turmoil in Europe, inflationary pressure, inflation is the diminishing purchasing power of your money, inflationary pressures are likely to accelerate due to disruptions caused by the war. And yes, they said the word war. It is a war going on in the world right now, for those who may not know. It's not yet called World War III, because I think COVID-19 was World War III. It may be called World War IV, who knows? Which would seem to increase the likelihood of a more aggressive stance by the Fed. So here we go. This is why I say investors don't use logic. It states here clearly. However, with prices continuing to rise even before the turmoil in Europe, inflationary pressures are likely to accelerate due to disruptions caused by the war, which would seem to increase, right? Rather increase the likelihood of a more aggressive stance by the Fed. All that to say, they're saying investors are not the most sensible human beings on the planet, as far as those like day traders or those people who manipulate the market, basically. What that statement is saying is they're not using sense. I don't like to use the word common sense because clearly it's not so common nowadays. They're not using the most sense. So what you can do is you can use this information to get more into the market, right? I believe everybody listening today should be invested into the market in some way, shape, or form. At a minimum, an index fund that is tied to something stable like the S&P 500. S&P 500 went up over 26% last year. Over 26% last year, right? The year before that, it was in the double digits, right? So get your money invested, get your money growing. So there's much still to be determined in the weeks ahead. There is much to still be determined in the weeks ahead. All right, so let's just speed through here. So let's talk about, so last Monday was President's Day, right? Last Monday was President's Day, so there was no, the stock market was closed in honor of President's Day. So growing tensions between Russia and Ukraine pulled stocks lower last Tuesday to start the holiday shortened week. All right. Russell 2000 and the Dow closed down 1.4%. NASDAQ, which is composed mainly of technology stocks, went down 1.2%. The S&P 500, which is composed of the top 500 companies in the U.S., was down 1%. Shout out to Jerry Tolliver from Flat Credit. Hey, Jerry, what's going on? Jerry, thank you for joining us on the show Money Talks, where all we talk is money. If you need a business credit specialist, right, check out Jerry Tolliver and her company Flat Credit, right? Flat Credit, awesome company there. Definitely doing a lot of great things for the community. By the way, happy Black History Month. Happy Black History Month. Today is the last day of Black History Month. Of course, that does not stop us from celebrating or doing things in honor of Black history. All right. So with that being said, let's go into last Wednesday. Let's talk about last Wednesday. Actually, let's hear. This is actually interesting. It says, this is very important, right? Earlier on Tuesday, NATO Security General Jens Stoltenberg said that Russia's recognition of two separatist regions in Ukraine could be viewed as a prelude to a large-scale assault. A large-scale assault. All right. In response, several Western leaders unveiled a series of sanctions targeting Russian banks and financial firms. What that's telling me is we better watch out, right? Especially for Russia. It says here, said that Russia's recognition of two separatist regions in Ukraine could be viewed as a prelude to a large-scale assault, right? Meaning Russia's not just attacking Ukraine. There's probably some other countries, if I can predict, some places in Europe that will be next. All right, so this might be the beginning of World War IV. Remember, World War III was COVID-19. They might not say it like that, but World War III was COVID-19. World War IV may be on its way. My advice, do whatever you can to get prepared, stay in the know, and do whatever you got to do to move things in the right direction. All right, Jerry says you're making Black history. Definitely appreciate it, Jerry. All right, so this report is getting a little interesting. I know today we're talking about should you buy or rent your home, right? Should you buy or rent your home? But this report, right, there's world news going on. Usually I don't pay attention to world news too much, but this here is affecting our money, right? So we got to pay attention. As Russia moved closer to a full-scale invasion of Ukraine last Wednesday, tensions mounted globally. I think it was Wednesday morning when I woke up and I heard that Ukraine got like basically blown up, airports and all types of crazy stuff. Sanctions were either threatened or imposed by the United States and other Western countries, prompting retaliatory rhetoric from Russia. Vladimir Putin himself said, if you interrupt us, we will do something to you that you've never seen before. And the United States is now in the mix. So we better be careful. We don't know how strong Putin really is. The late Wednesday, I'm just a messenger, by the way. Late Wednesday, as anticipated, Russia launched a military attack on Ukraine. Unsurprisingly, stocks extended losses. So the stock market kept going down. NASDAQ went down 2.6% as technology stocks sold off amid fears of Russian cyber attacks. This all started as a cyber attack, by the way, and then it went into a real attack. S&P 500 went down 1.8%, falling deeper into correction territory. Russell 2000 went down 1.8%, and then the Dow went down 1.4%. All right, let's see. Let's read some comments here. Shout out to Jerry Tolliver once again. She said, be prepared. Amen to that. She said, Jeff is a man. Appreciate you, Jerry. All right, let's talk about last Thursday, right? So Russia, Ukraine, it's going to be in the news probably for the next 30 days. Be prepared to hear about it every day. One thing I found very interesting, and my trainer and I, shout out to Tochi, my trainer and I were actually talking as we were doing a workout. We said it's funny how this all happened after Chicago lifted its mask mandate for, you don't have to wear a mask wherever you go, basically, right? At least, in public places. It's when something bad ends, quote unquote, and it hasn't even ended, something bad or something happens right after. So all that to say, the world is not perfect. You have to live your life at the end of the day. Be careful, right? But live your life at the end of the day. Don't get too caught up in the noise. If anything, use the noise as momentum to get to the next level in life. All right. So don't be too pay attention and always be in the know, right? Always be in the know what's happening in the world. That way it's like you're still aware, but don't let that be the controlling factor of your life. All right. Very important point. All right. And I promise we will get to the topic today. I promise. All right, equities rebounded last Thursday following President Biden's announcement of new sanctions against Russia after its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. All right, tech stocks, which had been hard hit, led the surge. NASDAQ actually went up 3.3%. S&P 500 went up 1.5%. And then the global Dow went up 0.3%. And then last Friday, let's see what happened in the market last Friday. All right, let me wave some folks here. Despite global, let me make sure I read you the right thing here. All right, so despite global economic turmoil caused by the ongoing Russia onslaught of Ukraine, domestic markets seem to be impervious to that tumult, basically. So overall, the stock market actually went up last Friday, and that's what led to an overall gain in the market. All right, Jerry says exactly. It's no coincidence. Absolutely. So let's talk about what's happened so far in the market this year. The Dow Jones is down 6.27% so far this year. The NASDAQ, which is composed mainly of technology stocks, is down 12.47%. 12.47%. This is pretty big, right? It's not quote unquote scary per se, but it is something to pay attention to. S&P 500 is down 8%. Russell 2000 is down 9.10%. And then the global Dow is down 1.48%. What goes down must come back up. That's the advice I would like to leave you with for this report today. Let's see. Interest rates are still at 0%, but the Fed has talked about increasing interest rates next month, which starts tomorrow. Happy early March, by the way. What to look forward to this week outside of the Russia-Ukraine, war? Not that you're looking forward to it per se, but what information should you be on the lookout for? Russia-Ukraine war, number one. And number two, employment data for February is out this week. Job growth has been solid so far this year, with 467,000 new jobs added in January. Wages rose 0.7% in January and have risen 5.7% since January 2021. All right, so with that being said, please get invested, right? Get invested into something. And with that being said, let's go into the topic for today. Should you buy or should you rent? Right? Should you buy your home or should you rent? It's a very, very important question. Now, while I would say you can't go wrong either way, I lean more towards the side of ownership. So let me just start that off. I lean more towards the side of ownership. I think you should be an owner, personally. Right? I think you should own your home. As to why, that is why you're here today. With that being said, thank you for tuning in to WGHC. Right, WGHC, we are streaming live from home today. We're streaming live from home today, the home office, Badu Tax Services office. Basically, this is the show Money Talks, where all we talk is money. We come on live every Monday night from 7 to 8 p.m. Central, every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. Central. And we host other events throughout the week as well. All right, so if we're streaming live today on Facebook and Instagram. If you don't mind just liking, sharing, type in the chat where you're listening from, and tag a friend or two to listen with you. All right, and Jerry says ownership, absolutely. Let's take a poll real quick. What do you guys think? Like, should you buy or rent your home? Let's just do a quick poll real quick. Let's take a 30-second poll if you don't mind typing in the chat. Should you buy or should you rent? All right, should you buy, should you rent? Don't use my response as or anything like that. Just before we get into the topic, I want to see where you guys are. Let's see. D. Jones says buy. Okay, D. Jones says buy. And then Jerry says buy. Okay, so own, absolutely. All right. Queen BMIA, she says buy. Absolutely. Okay, we got buy so far. Don't let social influence you. But anybody else, let's get maybe two more responses. Should you buy or rent your home? Let's type in the chat. Should you buy or rent your home? Jerry says ownership is the way to freedom. Absolutely. Jerry, shout out to Jerry, Jerry B from the Badu Tax Services team, says buy. Happy tax season, by the way. And then Sika, let's see, says buy. All right, so we got a few responses. Feel free to type in the chat. If you got any questions, by the way, please type it in the chat. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about this. Let's have a real conversation about whether or not you should buy or rent your home. First of all, the tax code benefits owners. It favors owners, those who own something. There's not really much in the tax code that says, hey, if you rent something, you get extra tax benefits. It's not really the case, right? So if you're a business owner, homeowner, you own stocks, right? Someone who owns stuff, you tend to get the most tax benefits. So let's just start that off the bat. Tax code favors owners. Number two, buying versus renting is a heavily debated topic. Heavily debated. I mean, you can ask 10 people on the street right now, should you buy or rent? And I bet you'd probably be split down the middle. 5 on each side, basically. You might be leaning more towards the buy side, but there will be a few people telling you that you should rent. So historically, renting is viewed to be as throwing away money, although not necessarily true. It's not necessarily true. All right. So number one, remember, I'm going to defend both sides today. My, what is it? They call it hypothesis, right? Or conclusion, whatever it is that you should buy. Right? Is that you should buy. At the end of the day, I think you should buy. But let me justify on both sides. Number one, why is renting not necessarily throwing money away? Number one is time value of money. This only makes sense in an environment where the rent is much lower than your mortgage payments, which nowadays is not really the case. Rent and mortgage payments are like neck and neck, basically. But for example, when we say time value of money, we're talking about the large down payment. The fact that when you're renting, you don't have to put money down, unless, of course, you're renting from Badu Investments, where we do require a security deposit, first month's rent, and sometimes 2 months rent up front, right? We do run an investment company called Badu Investments LLC. We are a multi-million-dollar investment company. And what we do is we acquire apartment buildings, right? Mainly on the south side of Chicago in efforts to restore traditionally underserved communities. So with that being said, the fact that you don't have to put money down when you're renting, right? Some landlords do. But when you're buying a home, you know you got to put something down typically, unless you go through a program like NACA, N-A-C-A. Zero money out of pocket. NACA.com. Shout out to NACA, NACA.com. Zero money out of pocket. That would clearly defeat this. That would clearly defeat this rebuttal here because it's a no money down program. So what money are you putting down? But in a typical scenario, you got to put down at least 3.5%, right? FHA loan, Federal Housing Administration loan. So what this is saying is that the time value of money, where you can take the money you would have used to put into your home and invest into something like the stock market. Here's where they're wrong though. The money that you put as a down payment is actually invested into the home itself, right? The money that you would have used to invest into the down payment is an investment in and of itself. So there is no true time value money. Real estate historically has appreciated 6% every year. So that down payment that you're putting in is already growing 6%. Now the stock market has historically been known to go up about 10% a year. So yes, they do have a case that you would have made a net 4% spread on your money. Right now the stock market is down, real estate is up, right? So with that being said, there can be an argument on both sides, all right? So what you can do basically is you can invest the difference, which most people don't do anyway. All right, you can take the money you would have used to put down on the property, right, and basically put it towards an investment like the stock market, maybe your Roth IRA, right, your 401k, or directly into the stock market. Now, if you were looking at that theory this year, though, it wouldn't actually hold true because the stock market is down, you know, some percentage points. S&P 500, just told you guys, is down 8% so far this year. All right, let's look at some comments real quick. Shout out to Josh. Josh Stanley says, is NACA only for Chicago or the entire U.S.? It's for the entire U.S. I actually just found that out today. All right, it's for the entire U.S. And then Loredana, shout out to Loredana. She says, for anyone wanting to become a realtor, my office, Keller Williams Innovate, Aurora, Illinois, offers free real estate school. Wow, that's awesome. She threw the link in the chat too. That's on Facebook. That is awesome. All right, so let's look at some more comments. And Josh, absolutely, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Let's see. All right. Jerry says, what do you think about influencers saying to buy with your business and rent from your business, right? So basically, what do you think about influencers saying to buy with your business and rent from your business? You don't have to do that, right? You can. So there's a rule called the Augusta rule where you basically buy a home, whether you buy it personally. Ideally, you buy it personally, right? You own the home personally. And you can host meetings in your home for up to 14 times a year. And you can charge it up to $750 per day, right? $750 per day. Your business gets to write it off, the $750 times 14, and you don't have to claim it as rental income because the tax code excludes up to 14 days of you renting out your primary residence, right? So that's known as the Augusta rule. Where does Augusta come from? Augusta, Georgia. All right. So let's see here. Josh says, Jeff really knows his stuff. If you're on the fence, don't hesitate to hire him. Definitely appreciate it, Josh. Appreciate those fine words. So let's continue, right? Let's continue the discussion. Some people find renting to be more advantageous than buying, believe it or not. And remember, there can be arguments made on both sides, but in this environment we're in, where rent is going up so high, like rent is going up extremely high. But then you got mortgage payments, which are like neck and neck, basically. In some markets, mortgage payments are actually lower than rent. So is it really that much more advantageous? Well, let's see. There's more to the story. Buying and selling a home can be very stressful and frustrating. There's time involved. So is searching for a place to rent, right? And think about the opportunity cost of having to move. Some people move year after year or every 2 years. Think about how much time that's taken from you in renting versus having one place you're living. And some people are scared, oh, what happens if I move out? Or what happens if I leave? Maybe my job changed location. Well, guess what? You can rent it out to somebody else or you can sell it, right? And you can get back into a low down payment program like an FHA loan or a conventional loan at about, let's say, 5%, 3 to 5% down payment. All right, so at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you. You have to properly plan and educate yourself before you make a decision. And that's why you're listening to a show like this, Money Talks, where all we talk is money. My advice, by the way, please take notes. If you're listening now, please take notes. It's very, very important to take notes when you're listening to important information. That's how you retain and that's how you recall. And if you need a guide on how to take notes, check out this book. It's called Infinite Expansion, How to Infinitely Expand Your Vision of Abundance, where we talk about the 12 steps to creating an abundant lifestyle. This book is available on Amazon, and there is a part 2 coming out very soon to an Amazon store near you. All right, this is a book about my purpose and my life story and the 12 steps to creating an abundant lifestyle. One of the steps including taking notes. Anytime you're listening to important information, it is so vital, so important. Desi says, if the apartment, if the apartment is not roach invested, then renting might be cool. Yeah, that is true. That is true. That is very, very true. That's a good point. All right, so you should consider the price of the home, the amount of your down payment, current interest rates, the current property tax rate, your income tax bracket, how long you intend to live in a home, and the amount of rent you're currently paying when evaluating your decision. Now, here's advice that will change your life for 1,000 generations to come after you. Let me repeat that one more time. Here's advice that will change your life for 1,000 generations to come after you. Not just your generation, but 1,000 more that come after you. When you're buying your first home, please buy it as something that will make you income. What do I mean? Buy a 4-unit, preferably, but if not, at a minimum 3-unit building. You live in one of the units. Let's say you're living in the basement or wherever you decide to live, right? Or you call it your primary residence, and you rent out the other units so that somebody else is paying your mortgage for you. You do this maybe 3 times. Right? This is called house hacking for me. You do this 3 times and you become financially free after property number 3. Basically, you buy a 4-unit building, you live or you claim one of the units as your primary residence, you have 3 other tenants paying your mortgage and put money in your bank account every single month, right? You just wiped out your second largest expense on your books, which is your housing expense. What's number 1? Uncle Sam, IRS. And you can even use the property as a tax deduction, as a tax write-off, known as depreciation, to wipe out your number 1 expense, potentially. Right? So you really, really want to make sure you're doing things the smart, savvy way. I know some people want their dream home and they want that instant gratification. But I'm telling you, if someone had sat me down and said, hey, Jeff, for your first home, you should probably make it a 4-unit building. You probably should go through NACA, N-A-C-A, right? NACA.com, where you can get up to a 4-unit building with 0 money out of your pocket. You live in one of the units or you claim it as your primary residence and you have 3 tenants paying your mortgage for you and putting some money in your bank account while you pay nothing for this property. This property is going to appreciate between 6 to 10% a year. 6 to 10% a year. And you had no money invested in it to begin with. After a few years, what can you do? Probably refinance out of the NACA loan into something more conventional and get out of the NACA loan with the restrictions and all the stuff that comes with it. And perhaps go into your next property, FHA, conventional. So there's so many ways to maneuver around it. But my advice for your first home or even your second home, I know we want that instant gratification, but how about we delay just a little bit, maybe 6 months to a year, buy that 4-unit, have our housing expense paid, right? You can literally have your entire house paid off monthly, right? Your entire house paid off monthly. Your second house, the home that your dream home, you can have that paid each month by your first home, your 4-unit that's producing you monthly income, right? That's powerful. That is powerful. That's something they definitely don't teach you in college, right? They don't teach you this stuff. All right, we got about 20 more minutes to go, so let's ramp up the pace a bit. So let's talk about some advantages of renting. Let's start with renting. Let me give the opponent a chance to defend themselves. All right, so non-financial versus financial benefits. Number one, non-financial benefits, it's easy to change places as long as you don't break the lease. Leases are typically 12 months, right? 12 months. And so as long as you're not breaking the lease or moving in early or moving out early, you can move anytime you want, basically. And even if you break the lease early, you can sublease or you can do a buyout of your lease with your landlord. A buyout is essentially a payment up front to say, hey, get me out of the lease early. This is good for people who relocate for work often. Maybe you're a travel nurse and you travel to a lot of different places out of town, right? It's good for people who consistently need a change of scenery, millennials, aka. We got Gen Yers, we got millennials, we got the Gen Yers. Let me see here. And then there's no need to hire someone to do repairs. Your landlord typically takes care of all the repairs. Of course, repairs that are not caused by you, not due to your gross negligence, right? If it is due to your gross negligence, then you got to pay for those repairs. So the landlord typically pays for the repairs. For example, in one of our buildings, it's an 8-unit building. The roof actually had a leakage problem that was draining into some of the tenants' units. Right, we have to fix that. We basically have to fix the roof. It's just a repair job. It's not replacing the entire roof, but just patching it up so that the water is not going into the units, causing moisture and mold and all that stuff. So quickly, when we see a problem, we try to resolve it immediately. All right, so yeah, so if you see repairs, then you can simply call the landlord to get something fixed, right? You can just hit up the landlord. In our business, we use Appfolio. There's a site called Appfolio, and the tenants actually go in there and they put in their maintenance requests. We typically address those within 24 hours as best as we can, right? If it's urgent, then you can put a notification in there, or you can contact the property management team. So typically the landlord is the one that does the repairs. All right, so real estate. Let's see, real estate her. Thank you for joining. She says, hey there, what's going on? Real estate her. So another thing, you don't need to maintain the property, although you should take good care of something, even if it's not yours. Everything is taken care of by the landlord, pest control. Let's see here. Any routine maintenance is usually taken care of by the landlord. And there's no fees as long as you don't damage the property due to your gross negligence. Maybe you had a big party. In one of our units, it's a 4-unit building. One of the tenants was actually having a party in the basement, right? They were having a party in the basement. Next thing you know, we see like walls being messed up. We see a bunch of trash outside. Long story short, we ended up kicking out that tenant because the gross negligence led to issues for other tenants, and we weren't having it. So they got kicked out. And we're actually seeking a tenant for that unit right now. It happens. It happens. By the way, if you're a landlord and you have a property management team, please make sure that you're aware of everything that's going on in your buildings. It's nice to have someone to manage and oversee everything, but you should oversee that person. As for reports, as for updates, right? You should, as a CEO of the building, you should essentially be monitoring, right? You should be aware of what's going on with your buildings. If you're not, then you'll get screwed over. Somebody's going to screw you over, whether it's your tenant or your property management team. So we have a lot of controls in place to make sure that our team is doing what they have to do, essentially. All right, so let's talk about some financial benefits of renting. There's no need for a down payment, closing costs, property taxes, although a security deposit is often required. Once again, for all Badu Investments tenants, we require a security deposit for everybody. Everybody who's coming in the door, got a lease in their hand, must turn in a security deposit. It is an absolute must, right? It is an absolute must. So what you can do is you can use this money to invest. The money that you're not having to put down with closing costs and all that, you can invest it elsewhere, right? Into the stock market, for example. There's no need to purchase new appliances, remodeling, or anything like that. Sometimes you do have to bring in your own appliances, though, your own furniture. You can generally rent for less than a monthly cost of owning a place, although Chicago's rent prices are pretty high. And if you're in places like Miami, San Francisco, New York, you're getting crushed on your rent right now. You're getting crushed on your rent. It's crazy how high rent has become nowadays. So now that we've let the opponents got their side of the story, let's talk about some disadvantages of renting, aka advantages of buying. Number one, rent payments are not tax deductible on your tax return unless you're a business owner and you have a home office. That's where you might want to do some tax planning with Badu Tax Services. Mortgage interest and property taxes are deductible if you claim itemized deductions on your Schedule A of your 1040 individual income tax return. The effective cost of owning a home may be lower than it appears compared to renting when you consider the after-tax value, the after-tax cost of owning the home. So don't just look at everything at face value. Do some deep digging, right? Look into the numbers. Look at the tax benefits. Look at the financial benefits. Truly do an in-depth analysis. Truly do an in-depth analysis. All right, so now let's talk about what we all came here to hear. And what you all probably thought I was going to say anyway, is the non-financial benefits of owning a home. Non-financial. Number one, owning a home is known as the American dream. Who doesn't want to own their own home? Have the luxury of owning their own house. All right. Now, my advice, when you're owning a home, make sure somebody else is paying for it and not you. That's where you get a 4-unit building, live in one of the units or claim it as your primary residence, and have 3 other tenants paying your mortgage and other expenses and funding your lifestyle at the same time. All right. Owning a home provides a sense of security. Owning a home provides a sense of security as well. Right. You got your nice house. You probably would take better care of it as opposed to you renting. You don't have to worry about your landlord kicking you out because you are the landlord, basically. Please be careful with condos, though. Condos are very dangerous, in my opinion, because with a condo, you don't actually determine what goes on. The board determines what goes on in a condo. And we all know there can be some politics when we have a board of directors. All right. So you won't have to deal with an increase in rent, although there can be an increase in property taxes and homeowners insurance. You can also appeal your property taxes up to 3 times a year in Illinois, aka Cook County. Check out the site baduappeals.com. Once again, baduappeals.com to appeal your property taxes today. You can get a free assessment on baduappeals.com, BADU appeals.com, and you can appeal your property taxes up to 3 times a year in Cook County. Across all of our properties, we appeal our property taxes all the time, right? 3 times a year. Every single property we own, we appeal the taxes. For example, one of my mortgages actually went up. 2 of my mortgages actually went up because the property taxes went up. Well, guess what? The moment we appeal it and the appeal goes through, the mortgage amount is going to go down because part of the mortgage is the property taxes in the mortgage. All right, so you got to appeal. It's going to save you some money. One thing about real estate, find ways to boost your income and reduce your expenses. Boost your income, reduce your expenses. All right, especially when you're dealing with multifamily apartment buildings. Boost your income, reduce your expenses. Let's talk about some financial benefits of owning a home. Financial benefits. Number one, the tax deductions are very beautiful. Happy tax season, by the way. And yes, Badu Tax Services is taking on new clients. You can check out our website at badutaxservices.com. All right, so tax laws strongly favor homeowners. Tax laws strongly favor homeowners. Mortgage interest and property taxes are tax deductible if you itemize on your taxes. All right. Amounts paid for qualified mortgage insurance, MIP, mortgage insurance premiums, may also be tax deductible. And then if you sell the home, you can get what's called the homeowner's exclusion, which allows you to exclude up to $250,000. And if you're married, one of the best tax strategies on the planet, $500,000 from the gain on the sale of your home, as long as you live there for 2 years, right? As long as you live there for 2 years. All right, equity. You can build equity in your home. This is where you can start building wealth and creating wealth. As a homeowner, you can borrow against the equity in your home using either a second mortgage or a home equity line of credit, HELOC for short. It allows you to extract money out of your property to use to pay off high expensive debt or to invest in other properties. The interest on a home equity loan up to $100,000 is also tax deductible. So interest on a HELOC is tax deductible. Actually, nowadays, you can only deduct the interest if it's used for business-related purposes. Business-related purposes. Many homeowners use home equity loans to consolidate other high-interest loans, make repairs and improvements, fund a child's education, or also buy additional properties. You can leverage the loan, the money from your property, to create wealth. Lenders will generally allow you to borrow up to 80 to 90% of the value of the home. All right, the unencumbered value, like the one that has no loan on it, basically. Asset appreciation. Another benefit of home ownership is asset appreciation. If the value of your home increases, the profit is all yours when you sell it. The bank doesn't keep any of it, right? You keep all of it. You benefit from the increased value of the entire property, even though you originally used only a small portion of your own money to finance it. Can you imagine a NACA property? You own a NACA property, you put zero money out of your pocket. The property went up 10% on a $400,000 building. You just made $40,000 and you probably slept, right? You probably just slept and you just made $40,000 in 1 year. Can you imagine? And you get to keep all $40,000. You can leverage that as a home equity line of credit. You can sell the property. You'd have made a $40,000 profit, less expenses. So the beauty of real estate is you can literally sit, right? You can sit just as I'm doing right now and watch the property increase. Now, you might want to visit the property, make sure it's still there. Your tenants are paying. Repairs are being done. Updates are being done, right? Take care of the building. It's like a baby. Take care of it. If you want it to grow and nourish like the way you want it to, then take good care of it. But you can literally sit back, relax, and watch your property appreciate in value. That's the beauty of real estate. Your home value will more than likely rise over time, just like the stock market. All right. Should you be invested in the stock market? Absolutely, 1,000%. But you might want to consider home ownership as something you do, not just owning a home, but also buying something like a 4-unit where you live in one of the units and rent out the other units to tenants. To conclude, whether to rent or buy completely depends on many different factors. And it's all up to you at the end of the day. It is your decision to make. I think you should buy. I mean, look at all the reasons. It's laid out on paper. It is financially smarter to buy a home. Even non-financially, it's smarter to buy a home. All right? Always remember the tax benefits. Never forget the tax benefits. Always remember. Always keep your goals in mind. What are your goals? What are the things that you want on this God-given planet? Typically better to be an owner than a renter. Would much rather put money into something that will actually grow over time. And building wealth is something that you can do and pass it on to many generations that come after you. Think about that notion that, God forbid, your grandma passed away, but turns out her home was worth $300,000 and she bought it for $10,000 20, 30 years ago. I mean, think about that. Think about telling that story to your kids. And let's say you're still alive and you got grandkids. You got a property for $300,000. It's now worth $2 million, right? 20 years from now. Can you imagine telling that story? that your grandma became a millionaire off one property. She became a millionaire off one property. Yes, the definition of a millionaire will adjust in the future. It won't mean the same. I actually don't think the term millionaire means the same. Multi-millionaire means a lot. Billionaire certainly means a lot. But in the future, millionaire is like your next, your thousandaire, basically. In about 10 to 20 years from now, your millionaire 10 to 20 years from now is going to be your thousandaire now, right? And then your billionaire 10 to 20 years from now is going to be your multi-millionaire, basically, right? So things evolve. Things change over time. A lot of you listening today will probably be millionaires, right? In the next 10 to 20 years. It will happen if you make the right moves, right? If you make the right moves. And so with that being said, when it comes to wealth, it is the long game. Play the long game when it comes to wealth. Don't be the quick buck, fast cash, got to get it now type of person. Play the long game, consistent game. You will make money. With that being said, I hope you think strongly about buying a home. Maybe you're trying to do it this year. Interest rates are about to increase. They've already started increasing. Inflation is going up, so property values go up as well. That's the beauty of inflation. So my advice to you is looking to strongly consider buying a home. I think you would benefit tremendously from that. With that being said, hopefully you learned something from today's segment. Thank you for tuning in to the show Money Talks, where all we talk is money. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. My name is Jeff Badu, and I look forward to continuously and consistently delivering you all some content. Thank you, guys.